Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Community Corner podcast. I'm Arnav.
And I'm Nikhil, and today we're going to be diving into the art of failure and the transformative power that it really holds.
Absolutely. Failure is a word that might carry a negative connotation, but today we're going to explore it as a catalyst for growth, resilience, and the invaluable lessons that it brings to the table.
Right. So let's start off by redefining failure a little bit. So how do you perceive failure in the context of personal and professional growth, Arnav?
Yeah, so some people might argue, is it a setback or is it a stepping stone? But in my opinion, failure, in essence, is a natural part of any journey, right? It's not so much about the failure itself, but how we respond to it. Instead of seeing it as a setback, we can view it as an opportunity to learn, adapt, and ultimately grow. It's kind of that shift in perspective from failure as an endpoint to failure as a stepping stone to success. It's all about the half full or half empty glass of water thing.
Where analogy, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, it's like if you take a glass of water and you fill it to the half, are you going to look at it in the perspective of, oh, the water is half empty or the water is half full, right? It's all about the perspective of how can you grow from this? How can you use this as a stepping stone? As kind of like a pivotal moment in how we respond to it. And that's kind of what defines failure. It depends on what situation the person's in and how they kind of learn and grow from that.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest kind of negative perceptions that we have about failure is we kind of tend to compare ourselves to other people in the moment. For example, let's say with the test, you see you got like a 55 on your test and you see all your friends getting an A. You think in that moment, I'm someone of lesser value or I'm just not as worthy as someone else. But you have to think about it in the long-term standpoint as well. Are you going to be the guy that's going to sit there and complain, or are you going to be the guy that's going to use that as a catalyst for growth and work on it? I think that's why it's so important to be able to share examples of other people. So I think a great example is the story of Elon Musk. So he faced many failures, including the setbacks with Tesla and SpaceX. And I think what's important to understand with his case is he actually used these experiences to iterate, innovate, and ultimately achieve remarkable success. And I think his resilience in the face of failure is a testament to the transformative power of setbacks and failure.
And so I guess in that case of Elon Musk, resilience becomes a key factor in turning failures into opportunities. And I think on that note, we kind of go into setbacks, right? Learning from setbacks is crucial. And there are many valuable lessons that individuals can extract from their failures and how they can specifically apply these lessons to future endeavors, right? So I think one key lesson is the importance of reflection. Understanding why a particular endeavor didn't succeed provides insights for improvement. Just kind of self-reflecting on after situation, how can you grow from this? How can you be resilient and move on from this, but also learning from it, right? And additionally, failures often reveal strengths and weaknesses, which kind of help individuals refine the skills and strategies for future challenges. Self-awareness is key to success. If you know exactly what are your strong suits, what are your weaknesses, it definitely propels you and gives you a much better chance in achieving success in whatever you're doing, especially coming back from failure and learning from your setbacks. So each failure becomes a personalized masterclass for growth.
For sure. And I think, bouncing back from failure is also a really important thing to discuss. It requires resilience and it requires strategies. And that's really what we're trying to aim at with this episode of, it's not about the failure itself, but it's about how you respond to it. So, Arnav, what are kind of some effective strategies that individuals can employ to overcome these setbacks?
Yeah, so bouncing back, firstly, in my opinion, it's crucial to maintain a positive mindset, right? Obviously, it's hard after failing to think that, okay, I'm worthless or, get your mind in a random tangent. But it's crucial to maintain that growth positive mindset because you can view failure as a temporary obstacle rather than a permanent defeat, which is essential to success. It's all about perspective, right? I think the second main key thing to take away is seeking support from mentors or a supportive community which can provide valuable guidance. If you need to go talk to someone, call up a friend, go talk to your parents. There's teachers around, counselors, principals. Opportunities are endless. You can literally text someone randomly online. That's kind of weird, but everyone has their own supportive community that can provide valuable guidance, and I think it's important for people to kind of take initiative and kind of take opportunity of the support they have. And I think lastly that I just want to take away from this is setting realistic goals and breaking them down into manageable steps, which kind of helps individuals regain momentum, right? If they have like a big goal they want to achieve and they have a first setback, it's hard to kind of imagine, oh my God, I have so much to do. And this kind of can also be reflected into a smaller scale. Like let's say I have 2 tests tomorrow and it's like 1 a.m. How do I even tackle this, right? Well, I think one very effective strategy is looking at it like, how do you climb Mount Everest, right? You don't look at it like I have to climb this many amount of miles or this many amount of feet. You look at I have to go to Pier 1, then Pier 2, then Pier 3, like Base Camp 1, Base Camp 2, Base Camp 3. It's just kind of setting realistic goals, like smaller goals, and kind of attacking that way. I think another really important analogy is how do you eat an elephant, right? You don't look at it, I have to eat an entire elephant. You have to look at, you start with the leg, and you go to the tail, and you go to the trunk, and that's just kind of how you set realistic small goals in order to help you succeed.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to kind of guide people in the kind of the path of not viewing failure as something paralyzing. I think just the sheer fear of failure is something that is paralyzing for some, and I think some other methods of kind of overcoming this is like just kind of reframing this as an opportunity for growth rather than a threat, right? Don't just sit there and be very sad about it. Like you can be sad about this, but there's got to be a point where you've got to essentially bounce back and tell yourself that this is an opportunity for growth. And again, setting realistic expectations, like Arnav said, right? These failures are not defining moments, but they are also just stepping stones in a much larger building block that is life. You're hopefully, 70, 80 years plus of life, right? That is the end goal, to succeed in that life. And so cultivating a growth mindset, a very positive mindset where challenges are viewed as opportunities to learn and improve is also very instrumental.
Mm-hmm. It's all about changing the narrative surrounding failure from fear to empowerment. Nikhil, you mind sharing a personal experience where you encountered failure and then the impact it had on your personal and professional development?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so there was a project I work on that didn't really go as well as I planned. Like we didn't receive, the grade we wanted. I'm not gonna share that right now, but like it wasn't the best grade, obviously. And so initially, this is at the beginning of my high school career, so it felt like a setback. It was a group project, and I think all of us agreed that there was improvements that needed to be made. And that's what really changed our perspective, is that we thought that instead of just sitting there and complaining that, oh, this is the teacher's fault or this is just, bad luck or whatever it is, instead of complaining about all those things, we actually thought to ourselves, okay, we have our rubric, we have our grade, we have the feedback, how can we improve? And so we realized, some of the issues were things like communication, procrastination, not doing those things on time. And so through that kind of introspection and reflection, I identified those areas for improvement. And I think that experience really taught me the importance of adaptability as well as perseverance. So it wasn't really until a month or two later to do that next project. So, it was again that perseverance of I needed to wait a little bit more time to prove myself. And so it ultimately kind of led to a more refined approach, I think, for me and my future projects.
Mm-hmm. So I think the number one things you kind of take away from that is like personal experiences with failure become valuable anecdotes that shape our journey. And I think kind of like a final note just for our viewers out there is the exploration into the art of failure is kind of what we talked about today, but we hope the discussion inspires you to reframe the way you perceive setbacks and to embrace them as opportunities for transformation. Like remember, right? Failure is not the end. It's a chapter in the story of success. I think on that note, we're kind of wrapping up the episode today. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the Community Corner podcast. Thank you for listening in, tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, stay resilient, stay curious, and keep embracing the art of failure.
Peace.
Thank you.